Hi, I'm Christine Duncan, and I teach nutrition at the college, and I'm here today to talk to you about healthy Super Bowl eats. For many people, Super Bowl Sunday is about the football, but for a lot of people, it's about the food. One survey that I looked at said that about 70% of people expect to enjoy food during the Super Bowl and overindulge, that that's kind of part of the joy for them. I've seen different estimates of how many calories actually get consumed on Super Bowl Sunday, and they vary pretty widely, anywhere between 2,400 calories during the game itself to 11,000 calories over the course of the day, which seems a little high, but in any case, there's probably a lot of variability based on the person and where they're spending the day and what they're eating. But for most of us, if we are participating in Super Bowl Sunday, it's probably going to be a high calorie day for us. Some of the foods that we seem to associate with Super Bowl Sunday, I have listed here: pizza and wings, a lot of snacky stuff, a lot of salty stuff, a lot of meaty stuff. That's just kind of what has become associated with that day for us, and then we kind of repeat those things because they make us think of what we've had before. So one day of overindulging, like on Super Bowl Sunday, is not really going to have any lasting effects. The problem is that many of us have lots of reasons to indulge, and it's not just once a year on Super Bowl Sunday. We indulge at Thanksgiving, and we indulge at Christmas, and many of us probably indulged on New Year's Eve, and then here comes the Super Bowl as another opportunity. So unfortunately, if we indulge frequently, it can tip the scales, no pun intended, in the wrong direction, and it can actually lead to weight gain. And I also find that many people, when they've had a day where they kind of overdo it or they're planning to indulge and then they do indulge, that the next morning they often wake up feeling regretful or guilty or wanting to avoid the scale because they're worried about what happened the day before and they don't want to see the results of it. I certainly would want you to enjoy Super Bowl Sunday, and I'm not suggesting that all the fun and all the food should be taken out of it. I just think that with a couple of healthy swaps, maybe even just one swap or two swaps, you could still indulge in the food that you love, but do a little less caloric damage and maybe feel better about it the next day. So just a comparison, and this may not be a reasonable swap for you, and I've got some other ideas for chips coming up, but potato chips versus what's on the right is apple chips, so they're dehydrated apples. Just to compare, 160 calories to 110 calories. So 160 in the chips, 110 in the apple chips. 10 grams of fat versus 0, 150 milligrams of sodium versus 0, and then 1 gram of fiber in the potato chips and 4 in the apple chips. So lower in calories, lower in fat, and more nutrient dense. And also still crunchy, and you can set out a bowl of them, and I bet they'd get eaten. You might be wondering why anyone in their right mind would ever want to change what they eat on Super Bowl Sunday and make it healthy. I have two thoughts on that. One is many of us with the current situation are getting less exercise because we're staying at home more. For some people, it means more exercise, but many of us are moving less. And so a handful of days of overindulging in the calorie department paired with less activity can actually result in weight gain, which I think is probably what nobody wants. And then my other idea is I would want you to think about who you're spending Super Bowl Sunday with, whether it's by yourself or with your family or immediate family or extended family or your friends, depending on what you've decided is safe under the circumstances. Do any of those people have diabetes? Do any of them have high blood pressure? Have any of them had a heart attack? In all of those cases, the diet that they're eating has the potential to impact their health positively or negatively. And by providing healthier options for your family and friends to eat, you can actually be supporting them in being healthy instead of giving them things, putting things in front of them that aren't necessarily great for them that they have to try and avoid or end up eating. And I'll just give you an example. My dad has prostate cancer. He's had 3 different treatments, and each time they work, and then it seems to come back. And he has shared with me what his oncology dietitian has told him he should eat to best reduce his chances of having the prostate cancer come back again. I don't want to feed him the things he's not supposed to eat. And he's not supposed to have processed meat. He's not supposed to have dairy. And so when he spends time with me, that's not what I want to feed him. I want to feed him the things that are going to be the healthiest for him. And it's, I also know that one meal isn't going to make a difference in someone's health overall, but I want to support my friends and family in their health goals the best I can. And as a dietitian, this is a way I can do it. And I think it's certainly a way that you could do it too. I'd also like to say that I'm going to show you lots of swaps today. And in no way am I suggesting that you would do all of them, not even remotely. If you even see one idea today that seems like something you could swap and maybe sneak under the radar without upsetting anybody, and everyone could still enjoy the day and enjoy the food, that would be fantastic. It'd be one step in the right direction. So chips, salty, crunchy, yummy chips is something many people enjoy on Super Bowl Sunday. I've listed a couple options here for alternatives that are either lower in fat, higher in fiber, or higher in nutrients. I showed you the apple chips on the previous slide. A couple different potato chip brands make baked potato chips, and they're still crunchy and salty and delicious, and you can still put a bowl out, and I'm pretty sure they would get eaten, but they're just less fat and calories. Kale chips and bean chips might be outside your comfort zone, but if you're interested, those are some nutrient-dense, crunchy, salty chips. Popcorn is probably the cheapest option. A couple brands are selling already popped flavored popcorn like Skinny Pop, which is a good choice, or you could just do homemade air pop or oil pop. And then there's a couple brands making veggie chips too. So they're actually, instead of being made out of potatoes, they're made out of other vegetables. For some reason, buffalo wings seems to be associated with the Super Bowl. And there's a couple different options you can do. One is to replace the chicken with something else entirely, like cauliflower. And that's the two first recipes listed there, the lemon pepper cauliflower and the healthy buffalo cauliflower bites. That's one that's pictured. And I think you got to admit that looks like a pretty tasty dish that you'd like to see put out in front of you at the Super Bowl. The other option would be to replace the fried chicken with a baked chicken or a chicken skewer, and that's the third recipe. So you take away some of the fat by not frying the chicken. And then the last one uses a Greek yogurt base for the dip, the part that everybody likes to dip the wings in, but they just make the dip a little bit healthier. And for all the ideas I'm suggesting today, I chose recipes that either I've had myself or that have really high ratings on them to increase your chances of success, or they're from blogs that I know and love and I have good experience with, and I know that they put out good recipes. Nachos are very exciting on Super Bowl Sunday. A couple different options. One is replacing the chips. It's a big replacement. Replacing the chips with mini peppers. If you've seen those bags of mini different colored peppers at the grocery store, cut them in half and they make the perfect little boat for all the delicious things you like about nachos. So that's the first picture there, is mini pepper nachos. Another option would be the vegan jalapeno poppers, which makes this cheesy, cheese-like mixture and puts them into peppers. And again, peppers are really nutritious and really low calories. You could also replace the traditional ground beef with something healthier like lentils. That's the spiced lentil nachos with 3 cheese sauce. If that's too far outside your comfort zone, is to replacing the chips and the meat, you could do regular-ish nachos, which is the skinny loaded nachos, but that recipe replaces the beef with turkey. Or you can go completely in a different direction and try the fruit salsa with cinnamon crisps. And so that is lovely. I've made that one before, and the cinnamon crisps are just made out of tortillas with sugar and cinnamon on them. And you could use whole wheat tortillas with those and increase the nutrition a little bit. And then the fruit salsa is tangy and delicious. Chili seems to be also something we enjoy on Super Bowl Sunday. A baby step in the right direction would be to replace the ground beef with turkey. So that's the first recipe listed, and that's the picture. I've also included the best vegetarian chili in the world and one pot red lentil chili. In both cases, the meat has been replaced with beans, which is similar in protein content, and I think most people are used to seeing beans in chili anyway. You could certainly do your favorite chili that you already know that you like the spices or the seasonings, and maybe just replace, if it calls for a pound of ground beef, do half a pound and throw in an extra can of beans so you'd still get the same volume, and I think nobody would notice. Can you tell what this picture is of? These are baby carrots disguised to look like little smokies. So that's the first recipe as a possible substitute for all the sausage that people eat on Super Bowl Sunday is barbecued little smokies. They're actually baby carrots that cook in the crock pot in a delicious barbecue sauce. I would also suggest, and I've had those and I thought they were fantastic. I would also suggest plant-based sausages. Field Roast is my favorite brand. And I've got the two flavors there that are most popular. And if neither of those sound reasonable to you at all, Adele's Sausage makes meat sausage but with healthy ingredients. So they have a chicken apple and an Italian style that are pretty fantastic too. If you typically put out what seems to be popular now, like charcuterie boards or snack boards, it could be a plant-based board. And I've listed some ideas here for what you could put on there instead of pepperoni or prosciutto or something like that. Just base it all on plant foods, which seem to be the healthiest choice for us. And certainly you could put cheese on there too. That was an animal food, but all the other options on there are plant foods. And then I did see some cool ideas on Pinterest for putting out a veggie tray, but putting the vegetables in a certain design so they look like a football. I'll show you a picture of that. I think I put a picture of that in. Everybody likes to dip. If you're familiar with tapenade, it's made out of olives, and olives are high in monounsaturated fat, and they're really spectacular nutritionally. And Alton Brown has a great tapenade recipe. What's in the picture is called cowboy caviar, which is beans and corn and tomatoes. It's kind of like a chunky salsa with beans in it. And then just traditional salsa is really wonderful too. It's typically just tomatoes and veggies. If you like having little tiny burgers at your party, I've got two ideas here for plant-based burgers. And if that's too far outside your comfort zone, there's this really cool recipe called Air Fryer Bacon Burger Bites. And it's actually got ground beef and bacon, but it's on these little skewers. And you just have one little bite, and then they put pickles, lettuce, and tomato on it. And it's cool. It's a nice way to have that flavor, but in a smaller portion. And then I know drinks are a big deal. What's everyone going to drink? And I think typically, I think the standards are beer and soda. And so I just wanted to suggest some ideas that might make people happy. You can buy them, most of them in cans or bottles. You could put them in an ice chest or a fridge, just like you would with the regular drinks. But they're slightly healthier. Spindrift, LaCroix, Bubbly are all fizzy water with either a tiny bit of fruit juice or flavoring added. So they're essentially no calories or low calorie. San Pellegrino is just fizzy water. Kombucha is great. It's not magical. It doesn't have magical health benefits like people talk about it having, but it is a reasonably low calorie, healthy, fizzy option. So if you like kombucha, it's great. Fruit infused water. So you could put out pitchers of water with raspberries or strawberries or orange slices in it just to make the water more exciting. And then something that I think of as a treat is fizzy iced coffee. So you could put out homemade iced coffee, or there's lots of bottled brands you can buy. And then I put out fizzy water like San Pellegrino or SodaStream, and then a little bit of maple syrup and a little bit of soy milk or milk, whatever, and let people make their own fizzy iced coffees, put out some ice. And it feels like such a treat, and it's very few calories. And then, of course, there have to be desserts. And as a dietitian, desserts are probably my favorite part. So I do have some ideas for the sweet treats at the end. There's some cool recipes for making chocolate-covered strawberries that are designed to look like little footballs, which is the picture here. Have you ever had chocolate-covered dates? There's lots of ideas on the internet for taking dates, which are naturally incredibly sweet, pitting them, putting something yummy in the middle like peanut butter, and then dipping them in chocolate. And so I've got a recipe for that too to share with you. Another new development in the recipe arena is chocolate hummus. So people are making hummus at home, but then flavoring it with either melted chocolate or cocoa powder. You could also make Rice Krispie treats, which aren't spectacularly healthy, but they're not bad. And you can make them with Cocoa Krispies, so they're brown. And then you can cut them out in the shape of a football and put the laces on with icing. Or you can do what I did for a Super Bowl party once was I made dark chocolate bark. So basically just melting dark chocolate and pouring it on a cookie sheet and then putting interesting stuff in it while it hardens. And you could do team colored candy. So you could get the M&Ms in the color of your team or other candies or candy bars or hard candies or dried fruits, even though they're the colors of your team. And then you could make the chocolate bar look like it was had some team spirit. And then you could put other healthy stuff in it for crunch and salt, like hemp seeds and pretzels. So I've shared a lot of recipes with you, and you're probably thinking, how on earth am I supposed to find all those if I was interested? You can email me, and I will email you a link to all the recipes. But I also had another idea. I made a Pinterest page from my own Pinterest, which is called Veg Girl RD. And then I made a board called Healthy Super Bowl Eats, and I pinned all the recipes that I shared in this presentation, and I pinned all the brands of this, like the sausage and the chips that I recommended. So you can go to one place and find all those things in case one of them looked interesting, and then you could easily get to the link. And you can see here too, I did have a pretty interesting find at Safeway the other day. I found Seahawk M&Ms, which would also be a nice sweet treat for a Super Bowl party. So hopefully you're thinking about the idea of maybe feeding the people that you love and like and want to spend time with and want to spend more time with in a way that supports their health whenever you can and whenever it makes sense. And hopefully one idea today seemed like something that would be a reasonable swap for your Super Bowl Sunday. Thanks.